This video is about Guardians of the Galaxy. The story of this holiday special sits on a very weird specific tonal edge, where it's constantly close to becoming cringe. The idea that Mantis and Drax goes to Hollywood, has a blast instead of seeing Skid Row, and Kevin Bacon being a hero who sings a song for everyone sounds like a vanity project at worst and superficial time killer at best. But goddamn James Gunn, you did it. You made a TV special on Disney Plus where everyone calls Bacon a piece of shit. What really struck me about this holiday special was how far and different the characters had developed into. Peter Quill, instead of being a selfish thief who backstabs his father, is now a man of the community, respected and for once beloved and a legend.
And now he might just be the greatest hero alive.
Rocket, from insulting everyone all the time, is no longer insecure about showing affection and actually appeases the pet-like nature of someone else.
Alright, I'm sorry.
With the same patience and kindness he was treated with. Drax is kind of the same person, but he's a lot more sentimental with the length he goes for Peter. Nebula, in the few moments we see her, she's actively caring of other people, while Mantis isn't timid but actually retorts and bites back from Drax's rudeness. It feels like visiting your friends after not seeing them for years and being proud of how much they've changed.
Manting these dopes, it was just hoping you'd bring the joy of Christmas back into his heart is all.
This makes the theme of eagerness all the more poignant. People of nowhere are eager to practice Christmas to show gratitude for Peter, who's helping them rebuild, but no one knows what Christmas is. This simple, sincere eagerness was for me the magical X factor that made the whole thing work. A more cynically written version of the story would have had Peter Quill bring the spirit of Christmas to these miserable aliens, but the fact that it's gratitude and it's Quill the one who doesn't have time for it gives the special this really wonderful sense of poetry to it. This is emphasized by the story of Yondu. The special is bookended by a story where he destroys Peter and Kraglin's attempt to celebrate Christmas, but in the end, he fishes his present out of the garbage and in return gives Peter his signature blasters as a gift, before flying off together. The image of these two sitting together with newfound love is really what this special is all about. Love as the new frontier, not just space itself, but the connection we have with each other as family, as friends, as a community. And Christmas is the universal opportunity, the ship that carries our hearts into this frontier, deeper into what we already have.
I got some friends here that kind of need to learn about Christmas.
Wait, so does that make you my sister? That's the greatest Christmas gift I could ever get.
Phase 4 has been a worrying phase, and depending on if we're still going to have an exhausting ludicrous amount of content in Phase 5 and 6 that further dilutes the brand, we're going to look back here with either nostalgia of a time where fortunately we had something new every month, or the beginning of the end where we realized that this was the point where we unfortunately have a new thing every month. But before time blurs everything, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy will probably stand brightly as a tight little unit, and this special will be the cherry on top, where we can easily access these characters in their prime and laugh with them. James Gunn, you're crazy, man. How did you write this in a few days?
Wake up, this restless soul. Nothing's gonna slow us down as long as we fall.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is a game everyone loves but very rarely talk about outside of it simply not being Marvel's Avengers, which is a shorthand to say it's not very wishy-washy when it comes to its genre. It is decisively a standalone single-player action game with RPG elements with no intentions of being a platform for DLC or microtransactions. On one hand, it's great to celebrate something so honest to God, sincere and simple, but on the other hand, the depths of the game's artistry, characters and themes are then often overlooked because what it isn't has taken all the attention of what it is, and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is flock and amazing. See what I did there? Because they use flock as a substitute for fuck. This is a simple game with complex characters that decorate a very clearly more mid-range budget where the spaces you're in are never that big or interactive, and the main combat loop is pretty simplistic. You shoot these really weak sounding guns until your teammates recharge, then you do something flashy. But none of this matters because you're distracted by how the characters talk all the time, and I mean all the time.
I know, bud, but now we can all follow along with Starpant's mistakes.
As a result, there's a delightful social atmosphere. It makes you really feel like you're being bullied. In the beginning, Peter Quill is unconfident, barely holding a band of irritable people together, and where MCU Star-Lord starts out as an overgrown, selfish child and gradually grows into someone responsible, a man of the community, Game Star-Lord is a man whose childlike nature is his sense of responsibility. Like that kid in school who immediately goes up to make friends with someone who they've never met before, even without thinking.
I know you've been waiting for this a long time. Enjoy it, man.
Thank you, Peter Quill.
He can't help but to exude the love needed to keep the group together to an extent, while he can also endure all the insults without taking them too personally. However, he's also always constantly running away from accountability, and it's his actions that lead to the release of a powerful entity that consumes people with the false promise that their loved ones will return. It's here that we enter the game's central theme.
Pushed you to remember our main themes of grief and to go deeper.
At the core of the game is an exploration of grief and the importance of letting go by sharing. Rocket begins with growing resentment towards everyone as Star-Lord ignores his selfish suggestions and continues to order him around like he's a tool, leading him to leaving, but it's upon being forced to work together again he realizes he's actually deeply appreciated. Drax still has a hole in his heart left by his dead wife and child, which stops him from appreciating those around him in the present. In fact, he's the member who gets brainwashed at one point, but it's by the gang entering his mind, inviting him back into reality, that he's able to let go and commit. Gamora, deep down inside, her guilt from her crimes for Thanos makes her believe she's not worthy of love, and sees those under the church as the same as herself when it comes to exploitation.
It's about Nikki and what men like Raker and Thanos do to girls like her. Like me.
But it's by helping the gang fight them and rescuing Nikki, she finds closure and a new self-identity. Oh yeah, Nikki.
Are you seriously lying for a 12-year-old right now?
12? Oh wow, I thought she was at least 16.
Peter!
Nikki is Star-Lord's illegitimate daughter. I'm not gonna ruin the twist, but it's pretty heartbreaking. She's a little girl who lost her mother, Kor-El, Star-Lord's old flame, and wants the fantasy family that a lonely child like her desperately needs to feel whole. Nikki and all the Guardians members are trapped by a shared variation of the belief that in reality, none of them are really deserving of love. Therefore, only in a tiny speck of happiness offered by the past that they think they can survive, regardless of how irresponsible it is, and regardless of how they're substituting reality with fantasy.
Even if it means making the same stupid game for all stupid eternity, just the thought that she might come back is better than admitting that she never will, and that
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is structured less like a 3-act, 17-hour-long movie, but more like a 16-episode TV show. It's about living with these characters through an extended period of time, through a lifetime of various highs, various lows, various laughs, various angry outbursts, and from something as small as closing a broken fridge door.
did you just...
You have closed the refrigerator door.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
I thought I was the only one who ever bothered.
I thought I was the only one.
A story is told by the representation of life, where these moments paint an image of pure emotions, feelings of catharsis as grief is overcome by the people you're surrounded with all the time. Embracing, truly, what has always been there, from a bunch of scammers and con artists to saviors, from son to a father, from being alone to learning that everyone is worthy of love.
You didn't make that thing. You didn't release it.
Our father killed his mother and tried to kill him. I don't want him to be reminded of that every time he sees me.
You're not the reason your mom was where she was. There's a lot of blame to go around, but there is no way you deserve any of it. Only you can reject the lie, Nick. All I can tell you is me. I don't think it's her.
Sotra jutu plug, Heldagor Morgath, Soltas Flander Gath.
Sotra jutut Luke,
Heldagor Morgath, Solta Flander Gath.
Tagat gonot kol, Vol Malki Ultath, Gothan Kol Galmak.
Targat Golden Roll,
Why come to me?